I believe it's no secret that servicemen who were captured during the Great Patriotic War were treated, to put it mildly, with extreme contempt, and if this surrendered prisoner was also a general, then it's not even worth talking about. The most remarkable fact is that the military biography of General Obertsov includes not only such an unpleasant and shameful detail, but also an obvious violation of the order of higher command, which exacerbates the situation. It might seem that with such generals, everything is crystal clear, an inevitable military tribunal and complete oblivion. However, if you carefully study all the circumstances of each individual case related to the life path of General Obertsov, we will find in them a huge number of genuine exploits and heroic deeds. After a thorough analysis of which it will become obvious to us why Major General Obertsov was not only not subjected to public condemnation and censure, but, on the contrary, was exalted as a hero and even awarded the highest award of the Order of the Patriotic War First Degree, which speaks to his merits. But how did it ultimately happen that he both surrendered to the enemy and failed to follow the orders of his command? But despite this, he was still awarded for it. We will devote our time and attention to the search for answers to these difficult questions within the framework of this narrative. April 15th, 1942, a train packed to capacity with exhausted and emaciated prisoners of war, was following from the overcrowded camp of Zamosk to the Bavarian city of Hammelburg. Hundreds of Soviet officers, among whom was our main character, found themselves locked up in a German prison. It seemed that any escape was an absolutely impossible undertaking, a brutal regime, numerous and vigilant guards, barbed wire stretched around the entire perimeter, a whole, well-established system created, specifically to break the will and spirit of the prisoners. But capricious fortune, as we know, likes to present completely unpredictable twists and surprises. In the area of the Ostrowik railway station, 8 local policemen made a daring escape from the convoy, which caused confusion, commotion, loud shouts, deafening stamping of boots. The bewildered guards panicked and rushed in pursuit of the fugitives, and it was during this short and chaotic period of time that several prisoners, among whom was the general, showing wonders of resourcefulness and ingenuity, managed to break the hatch of the freight car in which they were being transported a fleeting moment, and they instantly dissolved into the darkness of the night, as if they had never been there. Freedom at that dramatic moment was worth very little in material terms, but at the same time was priceless and significant. So who is he, our hero of today's story and narrative? Major General Sergei Yakovlevich Obertsov, a man whose fate, full of dramatic events and unexpected turns, has turned into a true legend of military history and repeatedly surprised outsiders and researchers with his unpredictable actions. Sergei Obertsov was born into a simple peasant family in the distant 1898. He was able to successfully complete only 2 classes of the parish school in the modest village of Cheremisovo, which was located in the Smolensk region. In his teenage years, he moved to noisy and crowded Moscow and got a job as a handyman at a local factory. Hard and exhausting physical labor, monotonous and mundane days. It seemed that no special prospects and bright future were foreseen ahead. But fate gave him a lucky chance, and that chance was the call to military service. Sergei proved himself to be a brave, resourceful, and intelligent person and quickly stood out among his fellow soldiers. Soon he was promoted to the rank of non-commissioned officer, and he was entrusted with commanding an entire platoon, which became a kind of recognition of his merits. The October Revolution broke out, which turned everything upside down. Sergei, without any hesitation, made the decision to side with the Bolsheviks and actively participate in the struggle for the new government. The years of fierce civil war became for him a true school of courage and valor. Where his character was hardened, commanding an entire squadron, he actively fought against the White Guard troops of Denikin, inflicting crushing defeats on the army of Wrangel and his associates. Thus, in a simple and thorny way, An ordinary guy from the backwoods began his long and difficult path to the general's stars, a path that was filled with severe trials and difficulties, which he overcame with rare persistence and great dignity. By 1931, Sergei was already confidently on his feet and had a solid position. He had successfully completed specialized courses at the Military Technical Academy of the Red Army in Leningrad. The army became his second home and an integral part of his life, in which he found his calling. In 1939, already holding the rank of colonel at the head of an advanced light tank brigade, he took an active part in the Polish campaign of the Red Army, which proved to be a serious test for him. In 1940, General Ogartsov and his valiant soldiers were given an extremely difficult and responsible task: to break through the impregnable Finnish Mannerheim line, which no one had managed to overcome before. But his 123rd Division brilliantly coped with this difficult task, showing unprecedented courage and valor. It was a truly significant and important victory. The higher command awarded General Ogartsov himself with the Second Order of the Red Banner, and the entire glorious division was awarded the High Order of Lenin, which testified to their heroism. I suggest that you do not hesitate and subscribe to my channel, as well as like, so that you have a wonderful opportunity to hear many more interesting and informative stories about the events of the Second World War and the opinions of all sides that directly participated in certain historical events. In June of the same year, he was awarded the high rank of Major General, which became a great recognition of his merits. Thus, a simple Smolensk lad became a real general, having gone through a truly glorious, difficult, and heroic path, worthy of all respect. The first days of the tragic Great Patriotic War became a real test of strength and courage for General Ogartsov. In one of the most critical moments, his 10th Tank Division found itself at the very forefront, right under the crushing blow of a powerful German armada. In addition, this territory was strategically important, and the Soviet troops tried their best to hold the defense, while suffering huge losses. General Ogartsov's tankers fought with exceptional courage and professional skill. Every meter of their native land had to be fought back in a fierce battle, and every tank was on a special account. The German invaders constantly pressed, striving to break through the defense, but the division stubbornly held its positions. However, unfortunately, real combat operations spare no one, and sooner or later they make their adjustments. Massive and numerous enemy attacks, an acute shortage of ammunition and necessary equipment ultimately did their devastating job. Losses grew with each new day, becoming more and more significant. The higher command was forced to make difficult and hard decisions. General Ogartsov was transferred to the position of commander of the 49th Rifle Corps, which was a kind of reshuffle. It seemed that there would be an opportunity to regroup, restore forces, and take a breather, but the enemy again made its adjustments to the plans of the command. The troops of General Ogartsov almost immediately got into the infamous so-called human pocket, which led to dire consequences. Here is what eyewitnesses of those terrible events recall with a trembling voice. We found ourselves completely surrounded, and every minute seemed like an eternity to us. The enemy's ring was closing in on us more and more tightly, and the hope of rescue was fading with each passing moment, becoming more and more illusory. Yevgeny Dalmatovsky. The situation reached its critical peak and became simply unbearable. We were well aware that we had practically no chance to escape this encirclement. Every day our comrades in arms died of unbearable hunger, as well as from various diseases and wounds. Kizenko. It was at that difficult and dramatic moment that the heavily shell-shocked General Ogartsov was captured, which was a great blow to him. I want to emphasize that he did not surrender voluntarily, as many mistakenly think, but was captured by the enemy. He became one of the few Soviet generals who managed not only to survive in this hell of the first months of the bloody war, but also to make a daring escape from enemy captivity while continuing the uncompromising struggle against the German aggressor despite any difficulties. There is not much to tell about the escape itself, since the key points were mentioned at the beginning of this narrative, because the most important thing is not the very fact of the escape, but what happened after it, when he regained his freedom. For more than a month, he made his way through the dense and impassable forests of Poland until he met a small partisan detachment, which consisted of the same brave prisoners of war as he later. Their small group joined a larger and more organized detachment named after the famous Grigory Kotovsky, Sergei Yakovlevich Obritsov, as in the heroic times of old, after all. In the Civil War, he served valiantly in the cavalry, became the commander of a partisan equestrian group, which regularly conducted reconnaissance by fire, making a great contribution to the general fight against fascism. For a long period of time, the brave partisans carried out unexpected and daring raids on German garrisons. They appeared completely unexpectedly, inflicted crushing defeats on the enemy, and quickly hid in the dense forests, escaping pursuit. Each such raid could cost the brave partisans their lives, but despite everything, they went into battle again and again, demonstrating incredible courage. The Hitlerites were furious with these constant and daring attacks. They could not catch the elusive partisans in any way, and in helpless anger, they sent special punitive detachments against them, which were supposed to exterminate the partisans. A real bloody hunt began, in which there was no place for pity. Unfortunately, this very bloody hunt turned out to be successful and brought its tragic results. During one of the brutal German raids, in which the Wehrmacht had a significant superiority over the Soviet partisans both in numbers and in weapons, they came across the detachment of General Sergei Obritsov, who gave them a worthy rebuff. A fierce and bloody battle ensued, during which the famous general of the Red Army fell a hero's death, demonstrating incredible courage and selflessness. This tragic event occurred on October 28, 1942, on the territory occupied by the Germans, not far from the Polish city of Tomaszow. It is a pity that almost no one knows about the true exploits of such generals, and they remain in the shadow of oblivion. Most often, on the contrary, people hear only fragmented information that forms a completely distorted and false idea of the heroism and self-sacrifice of these people. Sergei Obritsov is one of those remarkable people who can rightly be proud of and take an example from. He did not strive for awards and glory. He simply honestly and conscientiously did what he considered right and necessary in that difficult situation. Yes, maybe not so many people know about his heroic deeds so far, but it is such personalities as he who fully show us what it really means to be a true hero and a person with a capital letter, not bowing down to any difficulties. His instructive story reminds us, each of us has enormous strength and opportunities to do something truly good and significant for our country, for our people, and for future generations. See you soon. I was glad to see you on my channel, and I hope that we will meet more than once. Do not forget to leave your meaningful comments, like and subscribe to the channel so as not to miss interesting videos.